Welcome back, everybody, to another League of Inches podcast, Supercoach edition. We are back, the Supercoach boys, to get in amongst it, have a chat about a bit of our season review stuff. So this one, we're going to go on about our teams and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, where we went right, where we went wrong, and sort of cringe at ourselves a little bit as well, and get sort of open ourselves up in our mind frames about how we thought about things, and let you guys in on that sort of side of things. And also quickly, we'll go a bit of a recap with round 27 as well. It was about a bit of a week and almost 2 weeks ago now. So it was a while ago. My memory is a bit shot at the moment. So we'll see and really test the other two on their memory in regards to round 27. I know there was a lot of looping happening. So that was something I do remember. Jerome Hughes was huge. So that was a fantastic scoring play and helped a few of us move up some nice rankings as well, which we will get into as well. But first of all, it's been a week or so. I know I've been in with Trav, and hopefully you've all listened to that episode yesterday with the finals review, which was really, really good, getting some really great feedback about that episode. But Trav, how you been on a Supercoach point of view? It's all unfolded now. It's all happened. And just talk to us quickly, how's the week of no Supercoach been?
Yeah, brilliant. Great, because I suck this year. Yeah. So it's been good to have nothing else to worry about. I'm done with Supercoach. I don't even know why I'm even on here.
to be honest, and I need to peel back the curtain a bit for everyone. Jesse, he's been sick the last week and a half, and this is basically how much having no Supercoach anymore has impacted the poor bloke. He's actually become physically ill over it. So we hope you're a lot better now, Jesse. The shakes have stopped and you're back into some sort of normality. There is still some footy to be played, which I know you've probably forgotten about because there's no Supercoach points and there's no relevancy at the moment. But how about you? How's the last week or so?
I think, Joel, you've actually got to reintroduce him. No one remembers who he is.
No.
Yeah, well, Jesse's the man with the beard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a bit fuller, more so than Trav's. We're close enough. Man, I was cooked. I had a bad week. It's almost been 2 weeks actually, but yeah, feeling a bit better now. Obviously, as soon as I felt like even remotely fine to do the pod, I was like, we need to get the review done. So yeah, back into it now. But yeah, no, it was almost like my body was holding out for Supercoach to end before it really came crashing and really failed on me. So yeah, no, feeling much better than I have been for the last bit. And yeah, I suppose Supercoach is done. So it's kind of, yeah, finals are on now. But to be honest with you, I actually didn't watch any games last week. I saw the results, I saw the scores, I saw my tips and this and that, but I didn't watch a single minute of footy.
Typical Roosters fan. Let's just say that right now. Typical Roosters fan.
I didn't want to watch that.
It's funny. You do your midnight every night. Jesse literally would just sit on the Supercoach website almost nightly up until midnight, 1 o'clock. And as soon as he has that week off and he just can relax slightly, boom, sickness hits. Yep. So it's a bit unfortunate. Let's get stuck into... We'll do the round 27 first, and then we'll go over our overall ranks because that will go into what we're going to speak about for this episode. So let's go through, I guess, what did happen round 27. Jesse, do you want to lead the way here? Because I've kind of forgotten about it. I know it was a good week for me, and I'm wrapped with it. But I've just, finals footy has swept me up, and I've just gone all in on finals at the moment.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, round 27, I suppose I had the hope and the game plan to try and get into the top 1K, and I knew that I was about 120 points off the 1,000 at the time, and it was going to need something big. And I was able to field a full strength squad. I picked a decent side. It was actually quite good, and they went in pretty well. But I scored 1,514. It was a massive week. Obviously off the back of Jerome Hughes in the first game, I was like, cool, instant loop. Put me massively ahead, which was really good.
How dare you?
I know, dirty dogs looping. But yeah, no, it was good. And then I had obviously like Teddy and Ponga both went massive. The biggest letdowns, really, I suppose, frigging the Cora was huge too. Crichton, basically the whole team was really good. Like I couldn't knock anyone except Karaz and Garrick. like the two most reliable mainstays really in the side. They just shit the bed, but everyone else scored really well. I was able to push up comfortably into the 1,000 by a little bit, and ended the season really strong. So yeah, it actually went really good.
Mate, that was pretty much my story as well. I had similar issues with Karaz and Gary. I actually had Garrick on my reserves for that round, so I must have had an inkling something was up and he wouldn't score that great. But to think it would be a 32 was a bit disappointing. I managed to get a full team as well, which I was pretty stoked about. And we managed to tie 15-14, so 1,514. And that was the top
Insane.
score, I think, for all of us for the year. So that was nice to get up and done. And you actually got it twice this year, so that was pretty spooky.
Strange.
Trav, how did your last round go with things?
I thought it went all right until I then listened to you guys who got 280 odd points more than me. I got 1,229. I actually thought 1,229 wasn't a bad score. It would have been okay with all the injuries, lack of trades that people had, the restings, the New Zealand bye in the last round. So there was a few people who owned, lots of people owned AFB, lots owned Barnett. There was a few sort of ownership there. I thought 1,229 would have been okay. And I actually saw myself drop ranks. So I didn't get, I dropped 270 spots. I think I finished at 10,338. So I didn't quite get to the 10K. I'm pretty happy with the way I finished the year. I thought I brought in Tedesco for the first time in the year. That was very happy. Should have listened to my gut and captain Teddy. Should have listened to Jesse's unwritten law of if you trade someone in, you make them captain, because I didn't. And I captained Ponga. I still got Teddy's score, but yeah, I lost that 34 extra points, which actually, if I had have made that 34 extra points plus the other option that I stuffed up too, I would have made the top 10K. So the other option was I benched Campbell, JC, and didn't play him. He got an 82. And I played Asako, and I really thought about that one really closely. I think I even said on that round 27 tradies potty with you and Jesse that I was going to play JC over Asako just for even though the matchup wasn't great, just because I didn't do it, and that cost me 45 points. So, if I think about that 45, I think about the 34, and there's 89 points I've just lost on the board that would have got me. So, yeah, that was the tale of sort of where it went. I had the same issues. Like I had a Garrick 32, I had a Karaz 25, but so did everyone else. But across the board, I actually scored pretty well, except I had to play bloody Sam Hughes in the last round, which I'd spoken about for so long that I was going to do because I wanted to keep AFB as long as I could. And yeah, that 26 was a killer.
AFB was a great captain that round too. I captained him. Felt great about it.
I've got to address the elephant in the room. There is obviously a clear one, and I need to basically make Trav smile and be happy, because I need to apologize to everyone I've bagged this year about cheating effectively and looping, and I've now become a looper. And we're going to go through stats. We've found our season stats basically, and I've realized I actually looped twice this year. So I totally forgot about the first one. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, apparently I am a looper. I looped on the last round, and I agree with Jesse. I was about to play Sam Hughes until Jerome Hughes struck, and AFB was a great captain. Like, thank you very much, Aiden Fanua-Blake, for getting it done and getting the best zero score I've ever gotten. So very, very pleased with you. But I apologize to everyone out there. Everyone I've bagged this year, I take it back. You're not cheats. I'm not a cheat. We're just taking advantage of the game. So thank you very much.
Mate, your stature as a man's just grown in my eyes, and the respect meter's gone from here to a little bit here. It's still got a long way to go, but yeah,
It's notching up.
full credit to you. Full credit to you.
Full credit to the boys. It was tough. It was tough to admit to that. You know, it's been a tough week when I have had to just sit back, think about this, because we did no Supercoach pods last week. It just was eating at my soul, and I'm glad it's finally out.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you feel good about it.
No, that's right. Thank you, Jesse. Now, overall ranks. Let's get stuck into it now that Trav's let us off with his overall rank. So he's gone. He's done. It's moving on to, I guess I'll go next. Save the second best for last, because when you look at my rankings and my points, so obviously the last round was a 1,514. Now I started that round, I think I was 7,800 or something. I was something all right. It was all good. Ended up getting to 4,598. So I got inside the 5K mark. Really happy with that. It's my best Supercoach sort of score. It's the first time I've really taken Supercoach so seriously as well, and actually looked into things and looked at scores and tried to plan moves, etc. So really happy overall with this season. I've really enjoyed this season as well, and that's a thanks to obviously you boys as well. Really enjoyed playing with you guys. Having the podcast has helped us and helped myself in terms of just having that Supercoach mind. And normally on a Tuesday night, straight after the potties, sit there for half an hour, play around with teams, play around with draft stuff as well, and just help get me in the mood, get me in the zone. And I was really pleased to, in the end, get to that 5K mark. It's a, for me, pretty good achievement. I'll take it. Jesse, what about yours? Talk to us.
It ended pretty good. I'll definitely take it. It was a good round to end on, and like going into round 27 initially, I think I was ranked 1458. So I was like, like I really want to get that 1K. Obviously climbing, 500 near 500 spots in a single round in the last round, it's impossible. I basically wrote it off. But the boys didn't. They put a shift in, and I ended up coming 859th. So it was a 599 rank increase. It's massive. It was just a huge week, and it pushed me into the 1K, and it's the highest I've been all year too. The last about 6 or so weeks, my team's been flying. My average has been like 1,400 per round, and it's just shot me up, because I was stuck in that 3.5 to 2.5K bracket for a good chunk of the season, more than half, I would say. And I just couldn't get past it, except right at the end. And everyone sort of, when I ran out of trades, basically, it was just, this is the team that I've got to stick and run with and commit to. And they, the selections were good. My depth was really thin. I was challenged for depth massively compared to your two teams, but I suppose the selection was good, just the ones that I were actually playing. So it was another 1K finish. Haven't finished outside the 1K since I've been playing Supercoach, which is nice. It's only 2 years. So it's good. It's consistent. And then plus like the draft final win, the head-to-head, the Creators Cup win, it was just overall successful year for me and the group. So I appreciate you guys. It was a good run. We all had fun with it, but no, very stoked.
Can you just expand, for those watching on YouTube, can you just expand your camera a bit more, please? Because your head's just blown out.
I'll move back.
Thank you.
It's all right.
Thank
I'll
you.
just put it all in.
He bloody deserves it, mate. You can have as big a head as you want. You bloody deserve it. Top 900 is unreal. You should be really proud of yourself, mate. Well done. And Joel, actually, you should be really proud too.
Thanks,
that you've got really good listening skills and persuasion skills from Jesse and Trav to run your team for you all year. But that's
100%. You're our third team.
I reckon I've made some.
You literally are. Change your name next year to JT, Jesse and Trav. Run my show.
Get the noodle hair going.
Mate, if you want to start throwing grenades, let me throw one at you now. You said for, I reckon, about 6 weeks out from the season, AFB will get dropped. He'll go. He won't be playing again. When did that happen? When did he get dropped?
I never said that it would happen. I said it would. I said I feared it would happen, and it didn't.
Oh, he would not go anyway.
We also worried about Cook.
Do we?
And that never happened either.
No.
Well,
Do you
he
want
was
me to
good.
go through? Let's go through. Someone go through. Surely there's someone in the metaverse that can pull up all of the shit calls that Joel's done for the whole year and see which ones have worked
Zero.
out. Hey,
The whole podcast would
Yeah.
crash.
I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I'm perfect. I'm perfect. Everyone out there knows it. Reply, drop a comment, guys. Give me some support, please. My back is killing me because I continue to carry these boys, and I just need some
Believe it.
support. I need something, please, because no one here gives me anything. It's very, very hard to get by. Key moments of the year. Let's get into it. And then this is basically taken anyway. So we sort of really good trades, captain choices that really stood out for us. Anything that sort of made a difference. It could be good or bad, I guess. It could be something that you regret and you wish you didn't do it, or you that sort of a thing. Jesse, I want you to lead us off for us because
Yeah.
me and Trav together, or Trav and I, sorry, we've got to say that properly. I know. Our minds and memories are shot. So we need you to lead the way here, and then we'll jump off the back of you and get some inspiration.
Yeah. Well, I have a few. There's a few things that I always go back to this season, and I suppose you have those moments where it's like, what was the catalyst to a change? Like, what was the thing that really made a difference? I've got one trade in, and oh,
Hang on. Sorry, I forgot. Can you first of all tell us your starting side from round one for this year to see
okay,
how your team started, so we can sort of
that's
shape
fair.
things up, and then let us know the players afterwards who you kept from start to finish.
Well, I'll brief on the players that I have that I
Yeah.
started with that I ended with. It's very easy because there's only a handful, and like most, I had Viliami Fafita. Shit. I had Sam Hughes, who I ran the whole season with. And there was only one other player too that I started the season with, and that was Lockie Galvin. So I went cheap on my second 5'8". I had Dylan Brown to start the year with. I expected to end the year with both of them, to be fair. But obviously things changed with Dylan Brown, and yeah, I just had Lockie Galvin and just ran with him the whole season. And I don't think there was a week that I didn't play him this year. He was from pretty much round two. I think I played him all the way through to the end of the season, and he was a mainstay. So, yeah, very good. The other two Nuff front rowers just sort of locked themselves as bricks into my side and just couldn't get rid of them. But my starting side, I'll just go through my starting to 17 for it. I started with Brandon Smith. Shit, dumb decision, really. To be fair, I kind of justified it at the time, and I remember, but we were raving so high on Reece Robson. There was so many options that we had, and then looking back, I'm like, why didn't I just do that? My front rowers were Ruben Cotter and Tavita Totola. So Cotter I had for a fair while. Totola, to be fair, like I was expecting mid 40s out of him the whole time. That was the point. He just got injured quite early, and it just never eventuated. But I'm pretty sure I had Terrell May from round 3, and Totola was on the bench, so it didn't make much of a difference. God, my second row is horrendous. Brendan Piakura, Morgan Smithies, Helam Lukey, Satili Tupanua, Bo Fermor, and then Joe Chan. That's shocking. Who the hell listened to me at the beginning of the year? That's horrendous. Bo Fermor was great. The rest of them, good God. Halfbacks, Nathan Cleary, Nico Hines. That's why my second row looks so bad. Because I spent 1.7 mil in 2 players, and there's a lesson for us next year. To be fair, they'll be quite cheap next year compared to this one, but that was silly. My 5'8" was Dylan Brown. I had Lockie Galvin as well. But their first round, they were on a bye. My centre wing, it's almost as bad as my second row. Ben Travojevic, Tane Torpiki, Roger Tuivasa Shek, and the man, Taylor May. No good. My bench centre wing, sorry, I had Drew Hutchison. Had everything sort of going. Ethan Strange and Jack Bostock. So those two, like Strange and Bostock, were really good for a good amount of time. They made a lot of cash. They're quite reliable as well, especially Strange. He stood the test for a fair while with his dual positioning. But Bostock was, obviously he tonned up very, very early. I got off him a week too early, and then he got another ton, and then it was 2-3 more weeks of a price rise. I think we both did the same thing, Joel, and we sort of jumped the gun. But my fullbacks, again, I invested heavily in the fullbacks. Kalen Ponga, Scott Drinkwater. They were the two dearest ones to start the year with. And I sort of did that intentionally as well. I couldn't make my mind up with the Vegas game if I wanted to get who I really wanted to go with. I didn't know if I wanted to get Turbo as well. I didn't know what the Vegas pre-round one games were going to do to change the teams up, and I just wanted to allocate all my funds into fullback and then just go down from there if I had to, instead of clawing my way up to a good one. So that was my starting side. There's nothing of note on my bench. It's all pretty crud from that point on, but yeah, not much to look forward at. And it kind of reflects in my round one rank too. Round one, I was ranked pretty much just under 82,000 to start the year. It was very bad. I quickly had to claw back something half respectable. So yeah, too much noise
It
in the
was
preseason. Got in my own head. Listened to too many pods.
we spoke for too much. We dribbled on for too long. It was a story of the tape, and we'll go through it with all of our teams. The second row, obviously the cheapies or mid tier sort of players were the go, and I think everyone was saying it. You're going to get a lot of these wrong, but it's sort of try and get the one that's right. And to be fair, there wasn't many that were right, so it
We
ended
said
up
that
being
too.
like,
We
yeah.
we knew it was going to happen. We just like, if you get stuck with these mid-range second rowers that go nowhere, it's going to be so hard to get off them. And that's why I remember talking about how I wanted Cameron Murray desperately. I wanted someone in the mid 600s to pivot on if things went south. And obviously he wasn't available at the beginning too, and it sort of shifted. And then my dearest second rower at the time was Bo Fermor, 460k.
Why'd you get off Bo?
Because I'm an idiot. I needed to change. I need to change things. My second row wasn't doing good, and I wanted off. It was between him and Tupanua, and I really wanted off Tupanua, but I needed funds. I needed the extra coin for another move. In those 2 weeks, I think it was round 4 and 5, I got rid of both of them anyway. But hindsight, I would have kept Bo Fermor. I was so high on him too. I don't know why I got rid of him, but he allowed me to get Eli Katoa from Tupanua the next week. And that was it. I wanted Katoa very early. I had him by round 6, round 5 even. So that was kind of all it was. It was just I just forced my own hand into changing. I just didn't like what I was playing with. It was bad. So
Mate,
Hindsight,
on that, I actually traded Fermor in round 2. He lasted 1 week. Oh, sorry. He lasted 2 weeks.
there you go. I liked what I saw from him too. It was just a funds thing. So
yeah.
Hindsight for you, the halves, Cleary and Hines. Obviously, looking back on that and injuries and the like, do you wish you went different?
Oh, it's so easy to say that now. Like, I wish I went different, but at the time, like, I was so confident in going the 2 best halves. I'm gonna want them. I'm gonna have to work for them at some point. Why not just start with them? But yeah, it wasn't the best idea, and we all kind of knew that as well. Like, considering how much we were sacrificing in center wing, how much second row we were just going, oh, there's so much value in the mid tier. The 460k lower bracket is dense. Like, there's so many options. It allowed you to do that Cleary Hines, where I think in another world where there may have only been maybe 1 or 2, and you had to spend 600k for second rowers, you don't have the luxury of it. And you get one Cleary or Hines, and then you get someone cheaper. You get like a Caesar or something that's just to fill the void. But yeah, I made the adjustments in the side. I ended up going for the 2 big ones, and Cleary got injured round 3, I think it was, or quite early in, and Hines just never really lit the world up until that sort of brief month in the middle of the season. And then by then, I'd already committed to losing 400k out of him. So yeah, I wish I didn't start with both of them and think about all the stuff I could have done. But that was a long time ago, and you sort of work around it. But it probably won't stop me from doing it again next year, to be honest with you. Especially considering they'll be much cheaper.
That's fair. That's fair. That I get that. What about your key moments? Anything that stands out?
Yeah. Well, there was one trade that I did that set the tone, and it shifted my round rank, my team rank, my squad value, just the prospects of my side in general. And I was really looking forward from that point on. It was actually in round 9. I started ranked 82,000, as I said, and I was real bad. I was like, you started off in the 40s. I clawed my way back. By round 5, I was ranked 19,000. But then I went back to 18. Round 7, I was 28,000. Round 8, I was 16,000, and I was kind of I felt like I was just getting caught up in that group. I traded in Jermaine Azarko in round 9, and I just wanted him. I just wanted him real bad. I thought I need some guns. I need some firepower to get it in there. And as I always do, and Trav said before, if I trade someone in, they either get the VC or they get the C, and it's just a juju thing. I just want good vibes. I'm like, here we are. I've done enough to trade you in. You're going to get it. He ended up scoring 151 on a loop for me. So I did take the loop on Azarko. It was a very low scoring round overall. And I round ranked 388. It was my highest rank of the season for an individual round. And I went from 16,000 to 6,000. I jumped 10,000 spots. And this is after, pretty much, 2.5 months of established round, rankings. So it was quite hard to shift away from that. And then from that point on, I was comfortably in the 2.5, 3K mark, basically the whole way through the season. So that was the best trade plus loop plus round rank increase that really changed the path of the side. I did hold on to him for too long in hindsight. Probably should have jumped off on his value. The worst key moment for the season, which kind of undid it all, was how long I held Nico Hines for. You sort of justify it too. He's scored so well for the last 2 years. I had so much faith he would just get back into it. I knew he wasn't going to get picked for Origin. They had the really good buy schedule. He had consecutive weeks of 200 plus break evens, and it was just, God, everything's telling you to get off him and get onto anyone else so you don't plummet this coin. But it's only going to take a week. He's got a 200 break even, fair enough. Hines can score 180 comfortably on a really good round. It just didn't happen. And then it just went down and down and down. And then he got injured at his lowest. And then I leaked all that coin, and then it was just hard to come back from that. So that I kind of really shit the bed on that one. I did miss out a lot of good trade options and a lot of money, but they're the good and the bad, really. My bad wasn't overall bad. It was just, I don't know, I just was really stubborn, and I just decided not to do the obvious. But the good was, it was a pod play and a half that I took a punt with a VC on, and it paid off really well, and it just set me on a good path from that point. So yeah. What about you?
My turn? My team?
Sure.
All right. So how I started the season, I had a bit of a giggle to myself when I looked at some of these. I don't know what I've got rocks in my head. I'll say it now. I've got my own rocks. It started off all right. Hooker, Harry Grant. Should I have paid up for him? In hindsight, no. I shouldn't have, but I did. Thought it was the right play to go for, but I think it was fair to say Harry Grant was pretty poor, especially to start the year. He just didn't quite do what I needed to at that price range. And obviously we'll talk about that more when we do our position reviews. But yeah, I should have probably gone different there. But my front row was Sean Kepi and Terrell May. So Terrell May I was very happy with. Kepi, I don't know what I was thinking. I sort of
wild.
Had this thinking that I think he was named to start with at the time. And I was thinking, just got there at the club, want to put his best foot forward, want to be that big guy, top guy, and fizzled out so quickly. It was a very, very poor decision on my behalf. Second row looks similar to yours, Jesse. I think we ended up going similar with this. So Piakura, Smithies, Bo Fermor, Sean Lane, and Sia Wong. Again, going off the score I got for this round as well, it wasn't great, but even for the long haul, I remember being stuck with Sean Lane for a long, long time, and it took me so long to get off him just because, as what you pointed out, with it's that mid-tier playing group was so hard to get away from, and having so many that sort of in the way shat the bed a bit, it was just very, very hard to get off all of them at once, and it just took me, I found some time, and that's one of my probably key moments I'll get into. My halves, Cleary and Hines as well, I ended up paying up for both of those, thinking it was the right play at the time. And I also had Dylan Brown as my 5'8", so I paid up with Dylan. So I went pretty heavy with my halves, and overall, like you've seen in the rank, the tiers that I put up and how everyone ranked, Dylan Brown still came out on top for 5'8". It was a very weird season because it felt like he was quite poor, but that was to the naked eye. But Supercoach wise, he managed to score pretty consistently throughout the year and was one of those players. And I said I would love to have kept him throughout the whole year. That was when I originally brought him and purchased him around one. Didn't really care about the price rises and stuff, but ended up getting off him just because as a Para fan, I was getting really annoyed with how we were playing. And I just felt like he didn't step up the way I thought he would step up when Moses went down. But when you see the total scores, he obviously did. My center wings, this is a very interesting center wing combination. That Ben Trebojevic, Zach Labour, RTS, and Taylor May. So again, because I've spent so top heavy in certain key spine positions, I was stuck trying to find some cheapies. And to be honest, Zach Labour was a masterstroke early on, and I know Jesse was very jealous and tried his backside off to get him. I think it was in round 3 before he went down, and
round
you
2. I was
couldn't
gonna.
quite get there. Yeah, you
No,
couldn't, and
not
luckily
instantly.
because he got injured.
Yeah, I think I had other things. I didn't want to trade round 2, but I was so ready to do it. I was like, far out. I knew this would happen. I don't know why. And then he scored really bad in round 2, and then even leading into, I think it was round 3, he had a good break even still, and I just didn't do it. And then he did his ACL, so I was like, whew, damn.
You got away with that one, but I thought I was on my own Kyle era early on there with Labour, but it just didn't end up unfortunately happening. Fullbacks, I did Kalen Ponga as well, but then I actually had to go a bit cheaper because I spent up with Dylan Brown. So I ended up with Ryan Pappenhausen, who again probably started a little bit slower, and then I got off him as well. So I won't go through the reserve players. What I'll quickly go through the players that I kept for the whole season. So Terrell May was one. Bo Fermor swapped in between second row forward and center wing. Actually, no, I did get off Bo Fermor by 3 weeks out or something. So I did actually get off him. So I lie about that one. Who else is there for me? And Sam Hughes, Joe Chan, couldn't get off him. And this is the mic drop. Tuasa Farmasili. I just had him in my front row forwards, could not ever get rid of him as much as I tried.
Brutal.
It was just painful. So that was unfortunate. And yeah, that was my team.
Yeah, geez. You had some those dead front row forwards, man. We just knew it. What about you, Trav? I'm very interested to see this one. I haven't actually looked at your starting side proper. I've looked at Joel's, and obviously we built our teams together through, countless hours of potties, but you came in a little bit later. So, yeah, I'm interested. I might actually bring it up. Please enlighten us.
I'll just run through the list. So I started in hooker of Robson and Levi. Actually kept Robson all year. Front row forward, I had Palacia, Taumalolo, Hughes, and Fafita, and took a risk there with Taumalolo, thinking he might get 50 minutes this year and be okay. And that was a bad risk, but I know a lot of people had started with him, so there was a lot of us that were chasing tail. And I'll talk about things that I've learnt later on. He's one of them. 2RF, I started with Piakura, Fermor, Lukey, Lane, Smithies, and Chan. So I went with mid-rate or cheapies 400 odd K and below. In the halfback, I had Cleary and Hines, so I went all out there. In my 5'8", I went Trindle and Strange. So yeah, the strange pick was huge as a rookie, which a lot of people did. So that was a good choice. Center wings, I started with Arthurs. So funny, I started with Arthurs and you finished with him, Jesse.
Yeah.
I started with Carraz. I started with RTS. I started with Taylor May. And then on the bench, I had Burbo, Tuapiki, and Hutchison. And then I started at fullback with Turbo and Ponga. The only ones that were still in my team are Robson, Carraz, and the infamous Sam Hughes, and the good Fafita, not the bad one.
The dual
Viliame
position
Fafita.
Fafita.
Yeah, the one that serves a good purpose.
God, I love that you had Carraz from round 1.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It was about the only bloody thing I did right, mate. After round 1, I was at 107,000. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Jeez,
So
I
I
think it
went.
was all in your front row, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it was front row and 2RF where I really, really had to chase. Oh, yeah, where I really had to chase tail and pick up what I needed to do. But yeah, I started with 107. Then I moved down to 102, and then I had a huge jump down to 48. So from round 2 to 3, I jumped 56,000 spots, and then I don't know. Do you want me to keep, or do you just want me to just tell you about the team?
I've got a question for you. What was you thinking? Can you remember what was you thinking about Tamalolo starting with him? Because to me, it just looks like an odd one. Because for that price point and below, there probably would have been a number of other selections you could have gone for.
100%. Yeah, I could have and should have started with Terrell May. Like I didn't do that. I ended up getting Terrell May in pretty quick. I'll have a look in a second of where I did that. But yeah, I should have done that. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. My thoughts were around Taumalolo of I just needed someone to put in a front row forward, because I really went into this year thinking front row forward, what a rubbish spot, right? I'm not going to put any money into that. I just want dudes that's going to get a 40. And Taumalolo was cheap. He was in the...
He was 439K to start the year.
Yeah. So I thought that was cheap. That was a good price to put in there. I just wanted someone for 4 to who would lock in, almost a point a minute at about 50 minutes that I thought he might get. And I thought, based on that roster and the Cowboys, that he would do that. And he did in the preseason. He was playing some decent minutes in the preseason and was there. So my thoughts were I didn't want to spend any money in the front row forward. I wanted to spend money in other spots. And yeah, that cost me.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I actually pondered the idea of starting with JT as well. I think I sent Joel a screenshot being like, "Look what I've done," and I had Tamalolo in my front row, probably with Totola, because he was like a lock in my side at the beginning of the year. For that reason too, that like early 400K point a minute, maybe get you 45, occasionally 55. Yeah, and I expected the same out of Tamalolo too, and he had the dual position, so it was just there was a lot. Too. There was a lot of perk there for it. But again, we've also mentioned how much Peyton just doesn't seem to really want to cooperate with Supercoach and Tamalolo scores. So yeah, it never happened. But yeah, I didn't hate it, honestly. Like there was a lot of merit in starting with him. So
yeah, I took a huge risk in those forward spots in the FRF and 2RF. And if you have a think, like you have a look at it. So I started Palacia, Taumalolo, ended with Tarpany and AFB. But I didn't get Tarpany until 15. I didn't get AFB until 8. So it took 8 rounds for me to finally get that. I started in the 2RF with Piakura, Fermor, Lukey, Lane, Smithies, and Chan. And then I got Crichton in 7. I got Nicker in 17. I got Olakawatu in 19. I got Katoa in 14. I got Plath in 9. And I got Porter in the late teens. So like it took me a long time, other than the Crichton and Plath fixes in 7 and 9, to actually get a decent 2RF. And, these are lessons that I've learned this year that I hadn't done before, but I have actually learned. And to be honest, I actually feel like this year the 2RF has just exploded. The 2RF position. We've gone from having 2 superstars now to freaking 6. Like that you can easily play in that 2RF spot, with 4 of that 6 being elite. So, in that 5th and 6th spots, one of them's David Fafita, who other than this year has exploded. So, yeah, I've really learnt that the 2RF spot next year, and I think moving forward, and the style of play, the way the games are officiated now, 2RF is huge. And I learnt that about halfway through the year.
Joel?
Yep.
like you
No,
wanted to say
I'm trying. I'm trying to just. I know what's coming up, so I'm trying to get ahead with some trade in and outs. But one last one I wanted to ask you about, Trav, and it was a question we spoke about a lot in our season preview pods. I noticed you started with both the Sharks halves, and we were always a bit cautious of doing that. What can you just let everyone know sort of your thoughts around that one and how you think that ended up paying off for you?
I started the year. That's why I went low in the FRF and 2RF, was so that I could bank the money with for Cleary and Hines. So that to me was a no brainer. I think I was just going to lock that away. Sam Walker at the start of the year didn't scream out to me. I loved Hughes, but again, it didn't. I was looking for upside and Hughes. I bank a 70 from Hughes and be happy with it, but didn't have that upside. And Hughes really stepped up this year, but at the start of the year where we're talking about having all those injuries and things that he had to deal with this year, no. So to me, Hughes wasn't in my question. So I really wanted to have Cleary and Hines. I started Trindle because he was priced well. I thought that matchup. I thought the partnership between the two looked pretty good. I thought they might complement each other, which has been literally the opposite. But I thought they complemented each other nicely. Trindle was a good price. He was in that 5'8" spot. I didn't want to pay for anyone. Munster was, didn't have anything for me that enticed me early, and didn't want to take that risk. Burton, I wasn't sold on to start the year. I really didn't have anyone in that 5'8" spot that I really was sold on. So I went low with a low price of Trindle.
Yeah, he was it was very appealing at his price too. And I think the only reason I didn't want to go there was because I had Hines. And it was just, if I didn't have Hines, there's a good chance that Trindle on his own as a starting halfback, we saw how good he can score. Even last year when Hines was out, he was scoring quite well. And the potential was always there for it, but again, I was just always a bit thrown off by having the two of them. But there wasn't too many options at 5'8" either. Besides spending up big on Dylan Brown or Munster, and I was Munster locked in my side, but he obviously did his groin before the season started. There was really only Tommy Dearden, Metcalf,
and I ended up owning Dearden. I got him in round 5, and I ended up trading him out later on. But I got Dearden in the end. But before to do that, I actually in round 3, I actually traded Trindle to Metcalf, and then Metcalf got injured, so I had to go Metcalf, and I ended up going Metcalf down to Dearden, or not down, back up to Dearden. So that I had to play. So within 5 rounds, I had to play in my 5'8" spot twice.
Yuck.
I then had to play with some duels with Strange, and then I got and traded to a picky, and that's when I finally got Galvin in round 4. And then one of my my worst trades was my round 15 trade. I feel trading Galvin to Cody Walker. Yeah. So that 5'8" spot there, to me, it was just it was like a mine shaft of just a black hole. Endless mine shaft, and I just couldn't navigate that spot, and it really was. And until Galvin really proved himself, a lot of people didn't even get on Galvin early. There was still that talk around not getting him. So that was a really hard spot to play with, which is why I ended up with the Trindle Strange matchup.
Yeah,
you want to keep going? Give us your best and worst trades. You've already started on one.
So I'll quickly. This will lead into this. So, my key moments. So I'll blend these two together. So my key moments was round 7. I was sitting at 34K, and I boosted that week, and I got Crichton, which I needed to get and fix that 2RF spot for myself. And geez, he exploded. He was just huge in those first few in the rounds just before that. and you just needed to get him. So I took the bullet there and bit the bullet and got him. I got DWZ, which was pretty good early. He wasn't too bad, and got my favourite player of the year, Hero. That then pushed me up to 31K as of the end of round 8. I then, in round 8, made another quick trade of where I got AFB in. So I managed to get off Taumalolo, and that was one of my my best trades, is to finally get out off Taumalolo, but it cost me 8 rounds. And that's where I got AFB, and then literally sat on AFB for the rest of the year. So to me, that's one of my better trades. And I brought in, and I had to get off Kalen Ponga, and I think that was because of the injury, and I brought in Reece Walsh. So, you know, and I'll talk about this later on, in things I've learned in the fullback gold mine that I had, but not gold mine, sorry, but yeah, the fullback mess that I had. But those 2 trades there then basically catapulted, well, not catapulted, but, you know, pushed me really quickly up to in that sort of 10 to 20 rank, 20K rank. And I moved into round 9. I then made another boost, and I went from May to Plath, but I really liked that trade. And May was looking like at that point where he was only getting 20 and 30 minutes for a couple of weeks. And I kind of started to worry about whether he was going to whether he was going to be there. And I took the punt and said, no, he's not. I'm going to get off him. So I tried to get off him early. And look, that didn't work for me, but it did too. Like, it was a bit of I didn't want to have that up and down mess that I thought would happen, which it did happen, but I wish I had kept him. But I had Plath, and I really enjoyed having Plath for the rest of the year. I also, in round 9, like you, Jesse, got Isako, and I traded that from Strange. So there was a 200K, a 290K. Yeah, so it was a 290K win for me.
It was, 290K
so I needed
increase.
that. Yeah, and I had to trade Turbo, and I went down to Fuller. And at that point in time, I thought Hammer was not going. I thought his injury was going to be a bit bigger. Fuller sort of exploded. He had a good couple of rounds. I was ready to go. So that sort of got me from there into the top 20K. And so that, to me, that was my key moments and my best trades. Do you want me to keep going with worst? I think you asked that too, didn't you? So worst trades. Round 5, I'm going to single out some of these. So round 5, I went from Arthur's to Hammer. I had to trade him out the next week. So unfortunately, the injury cost me. I had to trade him straight away. My next worst trade was, and I think this really cost me huge in the last 3 weeks, was Hughes. So huge for Hughes. I tried to play that there. I'm being funny, but the Hughes trade, I think I made in 24 to Walker. Was it 24 or 25? I took the risk and thought he's got to play Penrith. Then he's got, the restings and stuff like that. And that really, really cost me. He got a 60 against Penrith. Walker got 40 odd. He played the next week and got 100 and something. I missed out on that. He got rested against, and Walker didn't do much. He got rested against the Cowboys, and then in the last game got 180, didn't he, or whatever it bloody was? It's a nightmare to me now. So, yeah. So, like, one game that Hughes got in the last round was more than what Walker got in the 3 weeks that I owned him. So, and then also Walker got injured. So that to me was one of my worst trades. And again, I took the risk. And my other trade, my third worst trade was before I talk about a series of terrible trades, was Galvin to Walker, Cody Walker. And I was really sold on that Cody Walker trade. Cody Walker was playing well. I thought the Rabbitohs were going to do a bit of a run. I thought they started to sort of put things together. And it was going to be on the back of Cody Walker, and then Latrell Mitchell's injury, Latrell Mitchell's drug scandal, not really a scandal, but all that sort of stuff that happened with the Rabbitohs, that was a bit of a mess. And I just kind of wish I had just kept Galvin for the year. I really just wish I had just kept him and stuck fat with him. Then here's the kicker for you all, right? fullback and my fullback story. I started with Turbo on Ponga. In round 8, I traded Ponga to Walsh. In round 9, I traded Turbo to Fuller. So by round 9, I had both of my fullbacks that I started with traded out. Right, round 11, after owning Fuller for 3 weeks, I then had to trade Fuller to Drinkwater. In round 14, I then had to trade. So I got Walsh for 4 rounds. I then traded Walsh to C&K. In round 16, I traded Drinky, so Drinkwater to Pappy. So I had him for 5 weeks. In round 17, I went Pappy to Sharp. In round 18, I went C&K to Keeney because I just had to get off C&K. In round 20, I went Keeney to Turbo. In round 23, through Jules, I traded Cody Walker to Ponga. And in round 27, I went Turbo to Teddy. So in my fullback, I used 1/3 of my trades. I used 10 trades in my fullback for the year to go through. And I'm putting that out there as I'm not embarrassed by it. I took some risks. I thought, you know what? Yeah, hey, I'm on a podcast here. I'm here to try and give everyone some support and help. And I've learned very key. I took some risks this year thinking, well, some of them I had to. Turbo, what I learned was Turbo and Ponga just are injury prone, are form prone. They will have really down weeks. And so I got off them, and I had to get off them too because of their injuries and what they were doing. But I got off them. But what I did wrong was I played with the risks, and the risks of Walsh is unless something happens to me, he's my dead to me list because I just don't like. I love him. I really enjoy him, and as an NRL fan, and we know he can put up 100 over 100. No worries. The problem is that he doesn't do it enough. And when he does have a bad game, it's a bad game. He will happily, as a fullback, put up a 20 and a 30. And to me, that's not good enough. And I don't want that in my fullback range. So Walsh is my dead to me list until I see 12 months of consistency. Like C&K, I got him in round 14 and he'd had a few weeks of really good play. And then literally I cursed him and he started being horrible. But like I said, I took some risks with Fuller. I thought the hammer injury was going to be longer. I took a risk by getting Sharp in, not thinking that I thought a really quick cash grab with Sharp. Ponga came back early. I took the risk by getting in Keeney. I thought Keeney was just exploding. And then
Keeney was a great trade.
It was.
Yeah.
But it cost me too. Because the whole Gold Coast mess was a mess. The whole, what were they going to do with Brimson? What were we going to do with Campbell? Sorry, I went blank there. Sorry, guys. What was going to happen there and where it was a mess. And so I run that risk. And then the week before I traded him, he only got a 60. So then I traded him out back to Turbo. So I've really key mistakes that I made there in my fullback that I tried to take risk for. It didn't pay off. It cost me, obviously, by my ranks. But that was one of my things I learnt this year as well. So I sort of covered that. Sorry.
No, it's good.
No, that's good. That's all right. I've got to do my key moment. And I just want to quickly say it because, and it's probably something we're going to speak about a bit more in detail about things we learn and reflect on. But man, I stuffed up so many captaincy options. And when I look back at my scores, and there was a patch like round 7 through to round 16 where my highest score for a captain was the Nico Hines 97 in round 9. So I copped the Nico 3 in round 12. The Kalen Ponga 14 in round 7. Dylan Brown 42 in round 4. That was painful. It was a lot of painful captaincy choices, which really impacted. And like round 3, I was already into the 10K mark. I was 10,400. And that bad captaincy choice for Dylan Brown got me up to 15K. The week after that, Hammer got only a 58, and I shot all the way up to 38K. That was a huge jump up. So it just shows you how crucial those captaincy choices are, and making sure. Obviously, there's a lot of luck involved as well, so it's very hard to always know the right way about things. And there's some unlucky things like the Hines injury, the Ponga injury. Like, you can't account for that. It's tough, but just shows you it is a crucial element to this game, and getting those double points for a nice score is crucial.
Yeah, the captaincies are massive. I'm just going through the same lot. That period that you obviously got that really low Hines score, what was round 12?
Yeah, round 12, 3.
3 is brutal. 3 is about as bad as you're going to get. I captain Drinkwater that round.
Dom Young got a lot of captaincies at what, -30.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
that's as bad as you can get.
Captains will obviously captains will make or break it. To be honest, man, like you can have like an okay round, but you get an exceptional captain. Like look at the last round, round 27.
Yeah.
Trav had a good round. You know, he scored 1,200 and something, but he just didn't have Hughes, and everyone that had him and captained him, it's like cool. They had just as well a round as you did, but there was that one guy that you're getting 360 odd points out of. It's just stupid. But yeah, it was a hard year for captains. It sucked. It was the hardest time. Like normally you just so easily just leave it on Hines, leave it on Cleary, leave it on Turbo, whatever it is. He had so many chances to play like a fullback roulette, and it just nothing worked. Like I was just so many weeks, especially the beginning of the year. I'm looking at my captains here. Ponga, captain round 1, 50 points. Hines round 2, 75. Hines round 3, 53. I went a little rogue because I was like, these captains are dog shit. RTS captain, 58. I was like, oh, it was the week he was playing fullback. I was like, no, shit. I got to stop. And then, yeah, finally, Scott Drinkwater, 144. And then I tried to back it up, drew 61. I was like, oh, no good. So, like, you can't do it. But did you cover your trades?
No, I didn't. I forgot. For my trades, so I had a period where, similar to Trav, actually, round 7 to 8, I had a really nice jump. So I went from 47K to 28K. So I thought to myself, I'll just look at the trades I made to see what sort of points out. And I traded out Liam Henry at the time, which in a way I kind of regret as well, because he then went on a run and scored some really nice points and made a heap more cash as well. Jack Bostock traded out, and as you pointed on, Jesse, that was the week or so after he made that nice 100 odd and get another bit of some price rises, and then the hammer as well. So that traded me into Angus Crichton, Ruben Garrick, and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. So DWZ, which was a bit of an emotional roller coaster for myself at that time, and I quickly got off. So it was a waste of a trade. Wasn't happy with that one. And at the time, I actually paid up for him. I actually paid more than what Hammer was at the time by 20 odd K. So really went all out with DWZ, and it just sort of wasn't worth it. Another one I want to touch on, I actually sold in round 6. I got rid of James Tedesco. I just felt like that was a waste, because we all know the season he had, and I should have just stayed with him. It was just,
why did you trade?
I wish I did. And then I actually went back to him very shortly after. Like, it was a waste of trades. And I look at it, yeah, back in round, sorry, it wasn't that close. It was round 16. I ended up getting back on him after the Origin stuff, and he was back. But still, there was a number of rounds there where he scored well, and I missed out on it. So it was painful.
Yeah, I think you got off Ponga too, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought I got off Ponga
early
when he was injured. I think he got injured though.
So you got off Tedesco in 6 that he didn't play, off a bat on a 4 that he got against the Bulldogs and a 47 that he got from Penrith.
Yeah,
he returned in round 7 and got a 41 against Melbourne. So I think, did you take that because he got injured, didn't he? Oh no, it was a head knock.
Yeah.
I think
it would have been that Bulldogs game that everyone scored nothing.
So he had the 47 against Penrith, got the head knock against Bulldogs and got a 4, missed round 6. And then you would have gone, well, he's got to play Melbourne as well, and got a 41. So I think you traded him out, and the trade made sense.
Yeah.
In between that time, between 6 when you traded him out and 16 when you got him back, he got an 81 against St. George, 112 against the Broncos, 88 against New Zealand, 79 Sharks, 151 Canberra, 98 Para.
Pretty good scores.
Yep. Thanks for that
Damn.
last bit. You should have kept it out. You should have stayed with the 40 odds you were talking about. It would have made me feel a lot better with what I did. There was a little patch I liked. It was round 10. So I got off the 2 Raider cheapies, and that made me a lot of cash in Schiller and Ethan Strange, which I think around that time most people that owned them were getting off. I got onto David Armstrong, which was awesome for the time that he got to play at the Knights, was scoring pretty much the moment he started playing, plus cash rises. And then Jacob Carraz as well. Got onto him then. So really happy with that little patch that I was able to work. Obviously got some cash out of it, plus got onto a keeper that I kept for the remainder of the year. The week after, got off Morgan Smithies. And this is me trying to be a smart ass, a bit of a smart aleck to Jesse saying, I know what's happening here at the Bunnies. And this is when it started to rock the ship at the Bunnies. And we thought there'd be outrageous changes. Ben Hornby would come in and shake the joint up. So I got in Tallis Duncan at 296K, thinking I'll save some money here. It'll get me onto, I got onto Jermaine Asako and Drinkwater that week as well. Looking back on it, went way too early on Tallis Duncan. He didn't play for so long, and it just wasn't worth it. So
even when he did play, you didn't play him, and he scored.
Yeah, it was a waste. It was really a waste, and
cash grab.
Yeah, cash grab, got it done, but felt like at the time there was some other players around and sort of price mark that I should have gone for instead of thinking that. Like the thing was, I thought I knew what was going on and didn't see what was going on. So
yeah,
it's all good.
It's all hindsight, isn't it?
Wonderful thing. Wonderful thing.
That's it. Did you want me to do my trades? I suppose that's kind of it, isn't it? I haven't done mine yet. Well, I didn't trade until round 3. I try not to, but I boosted round 3, and that's going to be something that I'll probably do next season too. I think I might. Like I boosted pretty quickly in the beginning, and then I kept 2 later on, and I waited until the buys to use one, and then I used one after them. And kind of think of it like at that point of the season, I don't really feel comfortable with 15 trades using a boost or lower. I just think there's probably more value using them way earlier, just to reset the team. But I started with Brandon Smith. I had Lukey and Hutcho, and I traded them all out. I got Lussick, Terrell May, and Mulatalo in round 3. Which leads into my second boost, which was the following week, which also involved Mulatalo. I look at this and I just think, and I knew what I was doing at the time, and I couldn't afford the move at the time either. And I was just like, do I waste 2 boosts and 2 trades on Mulatalo to do it? And I was like, yeah, screw it. I may as well. I've got 46 trades. I've got plenty at the moment. So the following week, round 4, I had to trade out Cleary, obviously injured. I traded out Piakura because he got that 4-pointer in the first round and just wanted off him. And I traded Mulatalo out because he made 68K, and I thought, mad, I can afford Valentine Holmes finally. So, I got in Hammer in round 4. I got Valentine Holmes, and I got Luke Brooks for Cleary, which was just weird. But I think he had the jewel, and I don't know. It sort of freed up a lot of cash for it. So that was... I wouldn't say they're my best or worst trades. It's just funny that I look at that, and in my first 2 trades, I used 2 boosts, and I trade out Mulatalo in and out at the same time. And I look back at that, and I'm like, you dickhead. Why would you do that?
That's very un-Jesse-like.
Yeah, it really was. But I knew what I wanted. I wanted Holmes, and I just thought, this is the quickest way for me to get him, because Mulatalo went off guns blazing and had that break even that the money that he would have made was enough to get Holmes the next week. And I thought, that's the only reason I'm doing this. And I think I traded out Cleary because he got injured. There wouldn't have been another reason for it. Most of you as well. Like I had Schiller. I got him at 239. I traded out Torpiki for him. So he was a good little cash grab for basically everyone.
I did the same trade.
Yeah. In that same week, I traded out both Fermor. That was round 5, and got in Eli Katoa That was one of my favorite trades of the year. I was so high on Katoa early, and I was glad I got him that early anyway. So he stayed in my starting side for the rest of the year. Didn't miss a week. Round 7 is probably my best trade group of the season. I boosted that week. Angus Crichton, Ruben Garrick, and Kyle Iro. They all come into the side for Totola, Bostock, and Hammer. So I made good money. I made 300k out of those trades, and it was a good one. And then obviously I had all three. Well, I got off Crichton at some point as well before Origin, but I kept Garrick and Iro, and they were both weapons.
That's my biggest regret, not getting on Euro. I absolutely regret that one.
Yeah.
You never owned him?
No, never. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, he was such a good option at the time too. But obviously he ended up being way better than expected. And even still, for like the last 2 months, he was one of the most popular trade outs every single week. So
crazy.
And I was happily playing
him. Yeah, comfortably. It was chuck the C on him at the end. Bloody hell. Traded out Ponga for Reece Walsh. When Ponga went down, Reece Walsh was cheap. I used Walsh for 3 weeks. He averaged 91 points for me in those weeks, and I got off him. And I believe from there, I went to Dylan Edwards. And that was round 11. So that was good. Like, obviously, I missed out on all of the early scores for Edwards, but very, very solid. Like, he worked out really well. And ended up trading off Edwards come Origin time. And I traded him to Joey Manu, who immediately turned to shit as soon as I traded him in. I captained him for like a 39, did nothing. I captained him again 2 weeks later for a 40, did nothing. Continued to do nothing and got injured and lost about, I traded him in at 859k or something. It was very expensive. 839, sorry. And that was one of the worst trades of the year, to be honest. I think it was just because the value that I got him in at, how good he was. We both did it, I think, too, Joel. And it was just, God, it was terrible. We just missed the boat entirely. Like, we did not get it. I didn't get a single good score out of Manu this year. No. And all it did was I went from Edwards to Manu with the cash that Manu dropped. The only person I could afford was Greg Marzu, who didn't light the world up. So essentially I went Dylan Edwards to Greg Marzu and burnt 500k. It was just not a good one. Speaking of, obviously I had the Hines thing. It wasn't a trade that I wanted to make, but it was just one that never happened. I just decided not to trade him for as long as I did, and I lost too much money out of him. Nothing too ideal.
I was so shocked you didn't go earlier on Hines. Like, knowing how you sort of play the game now, I was shocked you held on to him for as long as you did.
Yeah, it was a very different way that I played it my first year. And I was very much just the cash is king. You know what I mean? Like, even still, like when Azarko hit 850k, 2023 me would have sold him right then and there, just gone. Like, I know you've done well. I know you've scored well for me, but you're too expensive to hold right now. And this is your peak. And you know when they peak too. Same thing with Dream Buller in 23. You know when he was going to peak. You know, you've got 700k. It's not sustainable. It's not going to keep going. And that was the same thing with most too. But I think with the Hines thing, I think with just the way the season was running, there were so many injuries at that time. And there were so many unplanned trades that I had already done that I didn't want to have to do another one to get Hines out just for a couple of weeks and then to get him back in there when his price settles back down. And like, I was like, I'll take the cash hit. He'll lose a couple 100k, but he'll make it back. Like, it will come back. It's Nico Hines. And that was all I held on to. But then it just went down, and then he got injured. And then I was like, that cash isn't coming back, is it? It's not coming back at all. Looking back, I should have done the Hines to Wishart move because I looked at doing that very early. It was 1.1 mil down to 300k. That would have, honestly, it would have changed my entire season, but it didn't end up too bad in the first place. Carrying on with them, I traded in Jacob Preston for the buys. He was really good. Obviously didn't last more than 2 weeks before he got injured, and then I traded him out for the exact same amount of money. I traded him to Tarpany, and then I kept Tarpany as well for the season, and that was a pretty good one. Trade out Ruben Cotter to Nakora. During that Origin period, I wanted off all my cows. So these were good ones. Like, they were productive, and they actually stayed in my side for quite a while. And then towards the back end, everything was pretty well documented. It was all pretty straightforward. Dallin, Pappy out, Zach Lomax and Ponga was a very late trade that kind of worked out really good. But yeah, overall, like there wasn't any massive like shock and blunders. There was nothing that I look through here and go, Jesus Christ, like that. What did I do? You know, I mean, besides the Mulatalo boost in, boost out, that was just silly. And I probably could have kept the trades and and a boost potentially in hindsight. But yeah, there was no major shockers. I got on the good cashies when they were available. I got on Blaze Tulungi at 204k, and I kept him through that little stint where he was injured, benched, moved to the wing. I kept him through all that, and made like 500, almost 450k out of him too. So, like, he was a good one. Schiller was another cheap cashier that I got onto. Kyle Ero was another cheap one. David Armstrong. There was so many good center wing cheapies that came in, and it makes you think too. Like, there was a lot of preemptive trades that I'd done. Like, I traded out Jaden Brayley for Jake Simpkin just to get money. Like, I had my starting hooker. I never ever played my second hooker. I thought I've got things I want to do in the next few weeks. I want to try and find some money somewhere, and I just did that for a cash grab, 200k. But then you get someone like your center wings that'll pop up after scoring massively for a week, and Casey McLean come in way later. Sam Stone Street, for the ones that missed the Casey McLean train, you still had another week for Stone Street too. Arthur's even, like, I did get on Arthur's because he was so cheap, but he didn't make cash out of it. But regardless, the cash cows don't stop coming throughout the year. Like, somebody will pop up eventually, and it sort of goes like, do I really need to jump the gun, waste a trade just to have cash in the bank? If really right now I don't exactly need it. Where there probably would have been weeks that I could have used Jaden Brayley potentially, because the week that I traded Brayley out, I lost Marshall King. He got injured with that 10-week foot injury, and then I was like, oh, great. Here's another trade I've got to do at hooker, my least favorite position. After running Lussick for 9 rounds. So, like, I tried to sort it, and then you end up just snowballing, and you do stuff for no reason. But it makes sense. It looks like no reason at the end of the year when you look back at it and go, oh, I didn't have to do that. But at the time, like, it makes sense to open up more doors. But yeah, I'm not. There's nothing in there that really grosses me out too bad. I'm actually quite happy with it. I remember looking back at 23 thinking, shit, there were some weird trades in there, but overall, it's just you can tell how many times our hands were forced with injuries with these trades. And I never got a chance to build depth. I felt like I was trading in and trading out the players of value, and the ones that I wanted to upgrade on, they kind of just sat there for a while. So I never was able to have like my solid 17 and 6 really good bench players to choose from. It was like, I've got my starting side and I've got my reserves, and that's basically as far as I've got. Like, I'm stretched thin, but it kind of all worked out in the end. So
it was a very tough season in terms of that, because I remember a number of weeks where I was trying to plan things, and as you said, it was just an injury-riddled season, and it was probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest, Supercoach season I think we've played. And because of that, it was just so hard to get on the front foot. And because I started with so many of those cheapy mid-tier sort of players, I just felt like I was chasing my tail for pretty much most of the Supercoach season in a way. And it's a credit to you, because your rank obviously, and not to suck up to you, but shows that you were sort of pretty cluey onto a lot of it. You made some great moves. You're very, very good with your planning. That's one thing I definitely give you credit for. You're great with that side of the game. And just one or two crucial trades that you got on that I thought I was going to be smart and go someone else, especially very at the start of things. Sort of, you can tell now it backfired on me and worked perfectly for you. So it's funny just looking back on it, how though it's all it takes is that one or two trades to not go right for you to completely stuff your season.
Yeah,
isn't that the beauty of fantasy sports though, eh?
Yeah,
like and especially salary cap sports like Supercoach, like what RDT does and stuff like that in the NBA and NFL and things like that. I think that's the beauty of these fantasy sports, is that my opinion, and more often than not, our opinions are going to go wrong, but it's about whether we made the right one and how good that right one was. which counteracts a lot of it. But the beauty of it is that my opinions would, like your example there, Joel, is that your opinion stuck and you thought, no, I'm going to go here because that's my opinion. I've got that gut feel, and it comes off and it doesn't, and it costs you a season and it doesn't. Like it's, it costs you 800 rank or 10K. I just think that's what makes this awesome. That's why people listen to us. It's why people listen to these podcasts, because they're all sitting there trying to go, I've got this gut feel. But does everyone else have that gut feel? I'll run through 4 or 5 different podcasts and see if anyone says yeah, then as well, I might click trade. It's just the way it is. I love it. It's great.
With
it sucks at the time, and God, it stresses you out. But geez,
I miss it already.
Your starters, Trav. You may as well keep going with things that you learnt this year, or you can reflect on for the season that's been with Supercoach 2024.
I've learned a couple. I've learned lots. My first one is, as I spoke to you about, don't play roulette in fullback. Just stick fat and let it be. There are anomalies like 2023 Buller, but that doesn't come around very often. So don't play with that unless you really have to. Let the ebbs and flows of the poor games and things happen. Just pay it up in fullback. Let it be, and if they drop 200K, as you said, Jesse, that's okay, because I'll make it back eventually. Like, just sit on it. So I've learned that as key. I've also learned that the game has completely changed. 2RF is now an elite position. So I've really learned that next year I'm going to have to find ways to pay up and get as many as I can in the 2RF position. My next position is something that I've stuffed me really heavily this year, and I held on to players for too long. I kind of thought I'm going to hold them on because they've got the round 13 bye. I'm going to hold on here. And I was having this bloody question in round 6, in the round 13's 8 freaking weeks away. Like round 16's bloody 10 weeks away. Like I held on to dudes for too long. So in round 4, I traded in Flegler, and he had a really good start to his year. 76, 51, and 80 in his first 3 games. I traded him in round 4 for his 80, and in round 5 he got a 29. And I think that's when he was injured. I think that was an injury affected game, and then he didn't come back. And I sat there with the view that, no, he might come back. I've been reading it. He might come back. I'll hold on. I held him till round 15. So I held a dude that I only owned for one score of 29 till round 15 on this hope that he was going to come back. And then what actually happened was, I think it was in round 13 or even 12, it was, he's done for the year. Right. But I couldn't trade him. I had all these other things I had to do to get rid of, to fix, that I couldn't trade him. I've really just, from here on out, I've learnt that just don't stick fat with some of these guys. Yep, okay, you put them in. That is what it is. Make the mistake, piss them off. Like, it's fantasy sports. Just do it. So I've learnt that, and there was heaps of ones. Like, I held on to Lane until really late, because I knew he was going to play the buys. And look, he scored all right, but geez, he scored he scored shit for a lot of it too. So I've learned not to hold on to people, and next year I'm just going to be more cutthroat. Jesse, you touched on a point that I've written down here, which leads on to that view of what I'm going to have next year on being more cutthroat, is like you said about his psycho, and he gets to 850 and he's at his peak. And your 2023, Jesse, would have traded him at 850K. Like, I'm more going to be more cutthroat next year in terms of trading dudes out when they are at their peak and going to some guys who are at that sort of value that I'm seeing form come through. So I'm just going to start being a lot more cutthroat. So I've really learnt that this year as well. And my last point is something that I also heard about, that you talk about, Jesse, about money in the cash in the bank. And should you make that trade to get the cash and do that sort of stuff? And here's some statistics for you. For 19 weeks of my year this year, I had more than 191K in the bank for 19 weeks. 10 of those weeks, I had more than 400K in the bank. So for 10 weeks, I held more than 400K. For 1, 2, 3. So for 1 week, I had 777K. The next week, I had 863, 826, 826, 861, 548, 741. So for 7 weeks, I owned more than 700K, and I sat on that. And as my saying, for those that are listening to it on Spotify under my name, it says, spend the cash, don't be tight. I held it thinking, yeah, I've got a decent team. My team's okay. I'm going to hold it for that rainy day. And I had to make trades because I had to get rid of, Clearys, the Hinds. I had to get rid of the Turbos, the Pongers, and the likes. But I held onto this cash thinking, all right, something's going to pop up. There's injuries everywhere. And I've kind of avoided some of the really big ones, but there's injuries everywhere. I've got it. Then, one day I'm going to use a boost and boom, I've got 3 guns, and I didn't freaking do it. I held tight on it. So I've learnt, as cash is king, but I can make that cash through up, one down trades. And there's enough boosts in the game in the bank to be able to hold on to not hold on to cash, spend the cash, make it through the trades and fix it elsewhere, or wait the next week for it, and be better planned like Jesse, you have with your weird and wonderful brain that you've got there. It's plan ahead and be ready to plan and not hold onto that cash and make those trades. So yeah, there's my 3 pretty key things that I've learned this year.
Love it. Yeah, valid, like super valid. Especially it was mainly around the cash fit thing. Like, all right, if you want, Joel, I can go into sort of what I sort of took from this season, but like I've only got 2 years of reference to work off, and my first year was like, it was very successful and it was a learning year for me at the time. So going into this season just gone, I was like, how do I take what I got from round to 2023, my first season at it, into this one productively? Because at the time I was kind of just doing what was there in front of me, and there was no pods. I didn't listen to any pods. I made my team on the morning of Thursday, round 1, in about 20 minutes. And I started, my first round rank was 5,000, instantly straight in the top pack. And I was like, damn, okay, I guess this is quite good. And then you kind of get caught up in all like the trends and the movement and all that sort of thing. And it's very hard to get away from it, like doing the pods and talking about it every week and going deep diving into it. But I really just don't want to listen outside of what we talk about as just a bit of back and forth, because I know the players that I want. And we spoke about the players that we wanted. Robson, Terrell May. There was some good center wings in there as well. Teddy. Like, we mentioned all these people and we just didn't do it. And like, that could have been what really sets you off at the beginning and pushes you into that pack. And once you're with the top group, you stay with them and then you'll finish the year with them. So, yeah, just, I don't know. We'll have to just see how the next season goes. But yeah, the cash thing, the trading and being more cutthroat, like you mentioned, Trav, it's so important. Like, my 23's team, my team value on my bench was better than probably what my team value would have been this year. And I think by like round 8, I had 16 something mil team value straight off the jump. It was just, all the entire purpose was just make this team expensive as fast as possible, because when you have the cash, you can do whatever you want with it. This season, whether it was more so just injuries and didn't have the opportunity to, I just didn't approach it the same. And I felt that I wasn't doing the same thing either. Like, I was kind of aware that I wasn't doing it the same. I was trading out guns when I didn't want to. Like the Olakawatu trade in to trade straight back out after Origin suspension. I would have found another way around it, but I just didn't have the options. I had no depth. I was like, I need to get a second rower, and he's the only one that I can get rid of, and I just got him. So yeah, little things like that. I don't know.
Hey, I'll jump in there quickly, Jesse, and then sorry to cut you off.
No, you're all right.
But your team value means jack all, because my team value is $300,000 better than both of your teams, and look at my rank.
Yeah. It has to have some part. It does mean jack.
Clearly it does. Clearly it's got some part of it, but I've got $300,000 a bigger team than, or more value in my team than you, and you are 10,000 ranks higher than me, and you're 5,000 ranks higher than me. So I think, see, this is what I'm saying about this cutthroat opinion that I'm going to have next year is I'm not going to be looking for those things. I don't need that value. I'm going to get the value, but I'm going to get rid of it and find that next thing and just keep going. And I'm really keen to do that next year.
Yeah, it's more just the reinvesting cleverly. And like it's a super coach game. It's not the stock market. It's not, you're not making Bitcoin or millions of dollars in it. But, I'll spend just as much time as if I was trying to find the formula and the calculations, what I'm going to need this week, what I'll need these guys to score for the next 3 weeks for me to get this guy in round 12, right when I need him before the major buys. And that's kind of the way that I look at it. I'm like, if the stars don't align and I don't get this lot of averages between now and then, this trade's not going to happen anyway. So I won't plan ahead for it. But if I can, then I will. But team value has to come into play at some point. Again, my depth challenged me this year because of the injuries and stuff, but I was still confident with the starting side that I had. And that's the only other option. Like, the only thing you're going to get extra is just more options to play, which at the same time can be a hindrance. Because I didn't have to worry about choosing my team every week. It chose itself. I just thought, these are the guys. This is all I've got. Like, this is all I have to play with right now. Where if I had, like yourself, a Plath or a JC to worry about, or a Zarko sitting there, which one do I play? Chances are you're going to get it wrong most times. So, yeah, I don't know. I might just go back to my roots, be a bit more brutal with my players, especially the Hines thing. I don't know. I just decided, that's always going to linger in my back of my mind too. And I'm like, far out. Why did I do that? But I justified it. That's it. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to sort of look back and see this season on what I'm going to do, because it was a good year overall. Like, it was a shit year in general for trying to make progress, but like, it came very late. It's never over. Even Joel, like, you were ranked 20,000 all of a sudden. You get Toto, you get Holmes, and then you're shooting up 15K pretty quickly. And it wasn't because of them. It was just everything collectively kind of happened for you at the same time. So like, it continues all the way until the very, very last round, if you get up for it. But I think one thing that I do advocate quite highly on, and I'm pretty vocal with it, and I have always been, is buy round planning. You have to do it. Like, you have to do it. You don't have to put the spreadsheet out on the whiteboard and get all the stuff around 13 and these top players and all this other stuff. But you just have to be so aware that you need these guys for it, and holding players in round 6 that are playing in a major buy. I did that. I think I kept Smithies. I think there was a couple of Raiders or something that I kept for the first buy round, which was 2 months away. For no reason. Like, there were so many other options to go to instead of them. Or like trading in Marshall King and Azarko. And they were literally, the only reason I traded them in was because they had full buy round coverage. That was the whole point of it. And the Azarko play, actually both of them, they worked out quite well, but some of them didn't. So yeah, buy round planning is a good thing. Like, I know there's a lot of people that don't do it. They don't look at it. You don't need to build your team out of players that are playing Origin and playing buys, but have a full side. Like, that's the bare minimum. So it's a lot of ranks to jump over that period. So it's always my favorite. Middle of the season, so much to do. So that won't change for me. But yeah.
A few things I've noted this year, and I feel like because it's my first full season of really going hard into Supercoach and delving into it all, having the chats and stuff, being part of things, having more people reaching out and giving advice. You feel like you got to be on top of it. I've listened to a crap load of podcasts throughout the year, and not just our own that I obviously have to produce in a way, but others to get gauges on what to do. My first one on that is don't always follow the pack. And what I mean by that, and I'm not saying what we say is ever wrong, and I'm not saying what anyone else says is wrong, but what I'm saying is, if that call is to not go the right way, go something else. Go a pod. Go an early pod. Don't be afraid to go those sorts of options and jump out. Go different to the crowd. And it's the way you want to sort of sum up your game. And if early on you're quite behind in ranks, it's not season over, but you do have to slightly change your approach with maybe one or two things to get back get yourself back into things. I don't know. I don't know what you boys think about that one, but just
Definitely.
don't be afraid to go and actually just make sure you listen to your own gut. It's your team. It's what you want to decide on. Don't be afraid with that.
Yeah, information overload, right?
Yeah.
You can get too much, right? And it does, it affects you. And there's so many podcasts out there, and they're all fantastic, and we're all good. You know, everyone's got great opinions, and everyone does the research and all that. But you do also need to be able to have an element of, no, but I have this opinion. I'm going to do that. I'm going to bite that bullet. Yeah, and make it your own. Otherwise, it becomes quite vanilla. And then we end up with good, which worked out for Jesse and I, because we ended up having one of our best podcasts on what to do with pods for the rest of the year. But
that was a great episode.
Yeah, it was a cracker of an episode, but it's half the point is like you can't make progress if you've got a template team following the pack. You just can't do it. It's impossible to do. And we covered that perfectly in the pod too. Like, so stoked. I'm going to get Ruben Garrick in. I'm going to start scoring, 80, 90 points every week. 98% of the top 10,000 have him as well. So all you're doing is not missing out now. So little things like that. But then, make a comparison. Dane Gagai, owned by like 0.1% of that same group. Similar price, obviously. Points-wise,
killing it.
Scores very similar, but it's a pod. It's different. You might get some weeks where he's much better. Look at the last round. Garrick scored nothing. Where Gagai did the opposite. So, like the pod plays are fun. That's the point. They're the good ones. I love looking at having players in your side and you think, shit, this guy's got like 3-4% ownership and he's killing it for me. And there's very few people that he's doing good for. Makes you feel good about it. And you have to get on them early. Like it's the only way to really keep them pods is they have to be done early before they've had that score that makes everyone jump on them. Because it's irrelevant from that point. The week that both me and Trav, the week we got Azarko, I think he had a good score the week prior. It wasn't as good as the round 9 score. It might have been 90 or 100 or something. But still relatively low ownership because he was still a little bit dear. Would have been I'd say less than 7%, top of my head. And worked out really, really well at the time. And then everyone flocks to them because of that reason. So, you have to, like, it's hard. You have a crystal ball. You can't just predict who the next big thing is going to be before it happens. But, you kind of have, who the good players are. You have an idea, people you like. I think next season, like, there's going to be a lot of value in these second rowers now. The expensive ones, they're going to be unattainable. It's going to be very tricky to build a good side with a lot of these top tier players again, because they're all going to be averaged up super high. We saw how high center wing went to instantly. You have to fade all these players. There's so many players. You can't have them all anymore. Like, there's too many second rowers. You can't even have all the guns, where traditionally you'd have 2 or 3 and everybody would have them. There's so many options for pods. You just go to town. Just fucking make a team out of 20 of them. So many options.
100%. Another one I felt like I need to be better at, and you touched on it, Jesse. My buy planning could 100% be better, and I was a bit obnoxious to the buy planning this year, and just thought, you know what, it's only a smaller round, it doesn't matter, but seriously, you can fall quickly behind if you don't take it somewhat seriously and actually do a bit of planning behind it. So for me, my buy planning is certainly something that needs to be better. In terms of one final one for throughout the season, don't hold on to boosts. There's no point. One thing I was I was proud of it, or I don't know why, but I was like, I wanted to hold a boost and just keep a boost for who knows what. But like, as you said, Jesse, it got down to I had like 8 trades left or something. I'm going, I don't want to use a boost. I don't want to have a 3 trade week. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to hold my trades at the moment. And I think if I look back on it, there was a week or two there where I didn't go a boost, where there was an obvious trade or two for me to actually do, which I think in hindsight would have helped my team out dramatically in terms of just planning, etc. And I didn't do it because I wanted to hold a boost. I think using those boosts earlier is probably going to be a better way to do things, because it can strengthen your team up. You set yourself up and away you go. So don't hold on to boosts. I don't think boosts are look, I'll say it now. I don't think boosts are as good as they're made out to be. I think they can actually be a bit of a headache at times. So I'm not a huge boost egotistic guy. I'm done.
I think
I'm done
Travis
with boost.
said the same, literally word for word, almost
Yeah.
plenty of times. He's not super hot, aren't you, Trav? They are what they are. Use them.
Yep. I have no interest in boost really. I mean, they're handy to have because you can make 3 trades. They're great for the start of the year because there's so many correctiveness trades. They're great to hold over the buys so that you can fix messes up like you, Joel, who don't plan for the buys. But I have no real like for the booster really.
I'm more than happy to go.
I don't think they're important.
I think there's value in obviously having that third trade, but like I'd be more than happy because I don't like trading before round 3 anyway. Just seeing how the prices sort of settle. Just go on like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boost it, bang, bang, bang it all out, and then be like, mad, team's reset. Let's just do it from here. Or if you have to, just save one for that the buy round when you get the extra trade and you can boost and do 4 trades. I did that once this year. I did a 4-player trade in 1 round, and you watch 4 trades just disappear instantly, and you think, "Holy shit! Oh, that was brutal. I've got nothing left now." But yeah, so many options with 4, so might be worth holding 1.
Especially when you get 1 or 2 of those that go down injured straight away. Like, oh god, that was 2 trades wasted out of 4. That wasn't nice. Just a couple of ones I've learned in terms of planning my team to move into next year. Do not go a complete position, like I'm saying, second row forwards, mid tiers, because it absolutely, we've spoken about it already in this podcast. I don't need to go too deep into it. It's just a nightmare situation. Avoid it at all costs. I'm not doing it again. No, thank you. Not interested. Done. Into that. It's hard, but if I can try and get a gun into each position, I would love to try and do that early on and not fiddle around with these mid-tier guys. Take the hit, go a cheapie, but then go one of the top guys. And then, as I think Jesse tried to explain a few times, especially with some of the earlier pods, was it frees you up. It's like if that guy is to go down, it's so much easier to replace that player in terms of, let's say early on, if a Sean Lane was to go down, he was 400,000 for us. It was very, very hard to get onto someone who was going to be someone who we could stay with for a while. It was always going to be, all right, we'll replace him with that guy. And then hopefully in 3 or 4 weeks' time, he gets to a certain amount of cash. And then I'll move him on to the Nikoras, or I'll move him on to some of the feeders and the like. So it just sort of was a real pain in the backside doing it that way. And just don't think because they're guns. All right, I'm scared to get him. But what I mean with guns, and it's sort of my last point here, and it's sort of in a way contradicts what I'm saying, but I hope I can word it in a way that I'm not contradicting myself. It's very rare for the absolute guns to start on fire. So be very wary of that. I was very ignorant of that. And you see when I listed my team, I had pretty much all the gun positions with the most expensive players that I could basically get apart from Pappenhausen. And it sort of bit me a bit. It did chew me up a bit. And there was plenty of people out there saying they don't start as well as they normally do like to start. They just have that couple of weeks to... And that's sort of what Jesse just alluded to in terms of saving those boosts for the 3, 4, 5, and 6 hit. See who is taking off in terms of those guns and get onto them after the second or third week and then do it. But that's just how I sort of look at it. It's very rare for these guns to do what they do very early on anyway.
Defenses are on point at the beginning of the season. So, the scores are going to be lower than they will towards the back end of the season regardless. And when you're buying in players that are like 800k plus, like their break evens straight off the jump, and plus you don't have a price change for 3 weeks with the rolling average. It's tricky, man. Like you gotta come out of the gates hot to hold your price tag. So it's just at the same time, it's like, well, who else is an option now? And the good ones from this year, they're going to be expensive. Like, where do you go? You just got to take a punt.
I'll be selling my soul.
Yeah,
selling my soul.
What are your thoughts on banking cash after your team is built? because I didn't really think. I always want to spend every
Yeah.
penny that I have to the dollar. If I can get 0 left in the bank, I'm stoked with it. But I'm starting to think now, just with the way that the prices sort of, how much you are potentially losing always off your starting lineup, is it just worth keeping some?
No,
Right?
I already spoke. I learned. That was in my things I've learnt. I'm not holding cash next year.
No, but like
I'm not doing it. I'm spending.
I'd be ready
There's
to.
boosts that I don't care about. There are
Yeah.
buys where you get 4 trades. I can go at 1 up, 1
This
down.
is early
There
though.
are options. Early,
This is
no.
only early. This is just starting.
Spend the money.
No.
Because
Spend it.
because if you spend the money, you can get those guns. And there are inevitably, as Joel and you have both said, the start of the year, those guns are going to get some bad scores. So that could be where you do your 900K turbo down. Well, that's not going to be his price, but 900K turbo down to Pappenhausen at 600. Bang, there's 300K in your bank. Fix up another mess. Like you can do that.
You find it quickly. You find it quickly.
No, I'm very strong in that opinion. I'm not holding cash next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always an advocate for spending every penny that I've got if I can. So, so we'll just have
I'll
to see
go
how it
different.
goes.
I'll say keep it. I want to try and keep it this next year. I want to
Keep
start with like 300-400K in the bank.
That's a lot of money.
Oh, that's a lot. That's too much. There's too much you can do with that amount.
Watch me.
Lock it in. Done.
I started the year with 96,900K in the bank. And I did that intentionally on the last week by getting Joe Chan into the side. And it was because I wanted to change something that had already been locked in the next following week. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I'm not sold on this. And my team's locked in. I need to make sure I've got money to change it already. And
I
that was half
started
the
with
reason I did it.
3,000.
Yeah, see, I started quickly, and then by my first trade, I had 22K after I've used all that cash. So obviously, I used it, and it worked out quite well. But again, like you can find money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like it's not. We always seem to. I ended the year this year with like 300K in the bank. Makes me
You're
sad.
done.
Yeah. No.
We got anything else we've got to add tonight? I think we've got a huge few shows coming up, but you boys got anything else?
Not at this stage. No, we've obviously got a lot coming. Plenty about players, individual positions, team of the years, all that sort of stuff. Heaps more to come. I'm raring for the next one, to be fair.
We are, Jesse alluded to it, so sort of let you guys all know, because I know you've all loved the Supercoach content side of things, and I know a lot of creators out there are sort of slowed down or stopped now that the season's done, but we're not. We're going to keep going for a little bit for you guys. We've got a big sort of, I guess in a way, an awards type show where we go through, give out our awards for some of the players that stood out. We'll go into the position side of things. We're going to break them down and actually go in depth into each position and some of the players and runs that they had, the money makers, all the likes. So talk about all that sort of thing with you guys as well. So there is plenty more to come in terms of the Supercoach side of things. So stick with us. Don't go anywhere. If anything, keep subscribing, because I know a few other pages have stopped. So we'll keep giving you the content. But Trav, Jesse, final thoughts?
Trav?
I thought you would say the best for last, don't they? Fine. Nothing else from me. Thanks for listening. Good pod. Bit of a review. Supercoach is not over, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Bring it.
Love it. Yeah, no, we've got plenty more to come. It's almost like Supercoach. Yeah, it never ended, did it? And hopefully we can ride this train all the way through to next season without a
We need a little
break.
bit of a break.
Yeah,
we need something. Give us something between the finals and this at the moment. Give me a little break.
The NFL that's giving me that.
I can't. That's it, guys. Thank you for listening. It's been a big episode, but hope you all got something out of it. Let us know in the comments if you did, if you enjoyed it. And also let us know if there is something you want to hear from us. If there's a podcast idea that you'd like to hear that you haven't heard yet for the end of season side of content, happy to cater for everyone out there. So let us know. We're not off limits. Please talk. Please communicate with us. That's what we want from all you guys. And catch you the next episode. Goodbye, boys. Goodbye, legends. Good night.